which is why the Jericho Forum still exists. So yeah, it's not easy, and there's an awful lot of work. The problem is not many people are doing any serious work in this area at the moment. And the Jericho is looking to kickstart some work in this area, particularly with some of the universities around the world, because it is that kind of academic rigor you need to apply to this problem to make this work. In terms of trust, you have to have trust models for people, organizations, devices, and infrastructure. And more importantly, you have to have trust, because trust varies by location, transaction type, user role, and transactional risk. If you think about it, who here banks on the internet? Most people. What happens? You have a gate guard, don't you? You get into your account and it says, give me your username and your credentials to prove who you are. And then it doesn't matter what you do. If I want to find out the balance on my account, I can find out the balance of my account. If I want to transfer some money, I can transfer some money. It's all done by the gate guard at the front. If you think about what we should be doing, and it goes back to the earlier Jericho principle of risk-based security. If what I want to find out is what is my, as a member of the bank, what my privileged mortgage rate if I wanted to switch my mortgage is, well, what do I need to go in there to find that out? Probably a cookie. At the end of the day, the competitor banks are going to know what their private rates are. Who are they protecting it from? No one really. You know, I've been on the bank site before. There's a cookie from being there before. It'll let me in to find that information out with purely a cookie. If I want to go and view my account balance, what's good? Username and password? Absolutely fine, probably, because it's a low-risk view-only transaction. If you find out that I've only got £243 in my account, well, I don't really care at the end of the day as a personal bank. But the instant that I go and say, I want to transfer £35,000 out of this account into one outside, does it make me get out my secure ID card? Absolutely it should, because the transactional risk has changed. But what do? One-size-fits-all solution and a gate guard. It says once you're in, do what you like, from low risk to high risk. Trust level has to vary. It varies by location. Am I going to really trust this transaction if the IP address resolves to something in Russia, rather than the fact because this guy is he's a UK account holder, and every other time he's accessed his account from England? Should that change the transactional risk? Absolutely it should. How many banks do that? I doubt many. Whole bunch of work needs to be done in this area. And at the end of the day, trust is one way, isn't it? We still have this mainframe mentality that we trust the mainframe. I can't remember which talk it was earlier, talking about we're going back. It was the Ajax vulnerabilities talk. You know, we're going back, aren't we, with websites to a mainframe mentality where effectively your PC, your very complex PC on your desk or your home office, has become just a dumb terminal to display HTML. And we still have this mainframe mentality that says mutual trust, that says we trust that box we're connecting to. The server out there, whether it's the bank or Amazon or eBay or whatever, we trust. And we have to authenticate ourselves to them. They never have to authenticate themselves to us. It becomes more important when you start doing B2B rather than B2C. We do transactions with we sell rather a lot of paint to Walmart, as you can imagine. Walmart have their ERP server, as you can imagine, behind their firewalls, inside their organization, sitting in their, part of their crown jewels, nicely guarded. We do the same for paint production. What we want to do, of course, is we want customer information of how well our paint is selling from Walmart. They want to be able to place orders on us because if we can produce paint just in time for them, we both save money. So wouldn't it be nice, and this is where we talk about security as a business enabler, wouldn't it be really nice if my ERP system inside my organization could talk to their ERP system inside their organization, and we could get transactional information of what's selling well in the stores, and they could place orders on us, we could regulate production to produce paint just in time. Well, the answer is we do. And we use an inherently secure protocol called AS2, which is EDI over HTTPS. It is an IETF standard, it is an open standard, and it allows us to do just that. Connect the two systems together, even though they're sitting inside our forts and our castle keeps. So the answer is, it is possible. Of course, the problem, yes? Because without the necessary levels of security, you would never let an open connection come in right from your firewall, right the way through all your layers of security to your crown jewel sitting in the middle of your organization. So unless you can secure the transaction all the way through your organization to allow one, and the same goes from Walmart. Yeah, that's right. Because we can support AS2 as a protocol, because we can put the connectors into both our systems. We now sign off on allowing you to do secure transactions, ERP system to ERP system, and we all save lots of money. And again, it's like our friend here, standards exist. AS2 exists. We were surprised. I mean, Walmart drove this more than we did. And we went out to our ERP vendor and we said, we want to use AS2 on our system. Oh, they said, yeah, fine, have the plugin. Go out and buy it, it'll cost you this. 2 days later, it was in and working. Because it's a standard. Nothing to set up, it just worked, first time. How many times does that happen when you're doing anything secure? But it did. And it's out there, but how many people are using it? The answer is it's a really well-kept secret, like a lot of these secure protocols. Elements in terms of what? Yep. Okay, it uses certificates at both ends, so it enables both systems to have bidirectional trust. It's an encapsulated it's an encrypted protocol. So the data is traveling encrypted. The header is open, so you can tell it's AS2, so you can actually route it correctly, which is really nice from a network point of view, so you know how to handle the traffic at a network level. And at the end of the day, it has non-repudiation built in, so you can actually use it to place orders with.
Now, as an example, you've got just one customer in Walmart.
Yep.
What if you were to take that to 1,000 different customers spread across?
We do. UPS use it. We use it independently on other systems with UPS. More and more customers are starting to use it.
So the non-repudiation, how trustworthy is that as your customer base?
Oh, the problem is how you scale it, like everything else, because you've got key management to take into account. So yeah, is it foolproof? Does it scale to every single device you want to talk with? No, it doesn't. But it is a good example of, you know, the way to go. It's not perfect. Well, in the case of AS2, and I'm not an AS2 expert, so, but I'm assured that because the keys don't match, it'll reject it.
Yeah, but it's one of your customers running in some company somewhere in the world.
Yeah, it's not to be. Yeah, okay. AS2 as a protocol is not a protocol that you expose to the outside world and say, come and use it. It's not something like SMTP TLS, which has a mode where you can just use it, and if not, it defaults back to something that's open. You know, come and use me. TLS spoken here kind of thing. AS2 is a protocol where you set up the keys at both ends. It's done by a business transaction. There's appropriate legal agreements that go with it because you're placing orders. So it's a different type of business connector. So yes, can you open it up for open use? No, it doesn't. It's not designed to do that. In the case of AS2. Yes, you do. Yes. Absolutely. I mean, if someone maliciously set up an account with ICI and then used the credentials that we shared to actually place fraudulent orders, then you'd have a problem. But then ultimately that's a legal and commercial problem. I've never yet found any perimeter application that will de-encapsulate encrypted packets that are certainly encrypted from a server-to-server level. And I certainly wouldn't ever want to do that. Yes. Yeah, sure. People today are terminating at their boundaries, and then they're sending it unencrypted over their internal network, or they're re-encrypting it. The problem is certainly in terms of business process and business transaction. Do I really want to have some kind of broker service that's sitting in the middle of my end-to-end transaction? Because certainly if I got into a legal dispute, I'd probably lose at that point. I want to do it server to server at the end of the day. I want to do it application to application. But hey, as I said, this isn't about a single solution. This isn't about saying AS2 will solve your problems. This is about a set of commandments. Because as you're seeing by the debate, yeah, my solution for my business, in our case, doing business with Walmart, we use AS2, may be totally different to what you implement for your business, but as long as the principles and the commandments are obeyed, we should end up with secure solutions that hopefully mean that if your business and my business want to transact, we stand some chance of doing it. At the moment, it's very difficult. Okay, moving on, so we hit the coffee break. Identity management and federation. Yeah, absolutely. This is a big one. Because as the big problem, as you've just heard, is to do things like AS2, you have to put in certificates at either end, and you feed them in manually, and they're great for individual business transactions. When you open yourself up for business and say, I've got secure protocols, come do business with me, it's a lot more problematic. And, you know, it's great, isn't it? You know, 10 years ago, it used to be really easy as a security person, because you either employed people as staff or you know, they weren't staff, and you gave your staff accounts on the mainframe or the computer systems, and anyone who was non-staff, you didn't. Now, of course, I'm sure everyone in here is like us. You know, we employ contractors, temporary staff, people on short-term contracts, long-term contracts. You know, up to 50%. I think Steve in his case study with Boeing recently was saying I think he has now more external users of his network than staff users, Boeing users of the network. Yeah, correct, thank you, there we are. I remembered you, see, Steve, I was listening. So, you know, there's the problem, isn't it? How do you actually maintain all these users who operate outside of your locus of control on your network, and how